Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, today we want to talk about something that's very special, okay, when it comes to gardening. And it's one of the most important components of our garden, probably secondary only to the sunshine, and that's the soil. Okay. And you know how crazy I can get about the soil, can't you? Don't you?
Right. That's why I'm going to let you take part of it. Good part of it.
But that's why I'm going to let you. Why don't you go ahead and start off and introduce us here, okay? To the soil.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you and I agree on is that we don't call soil dirt. When children come to Emmaus, actually, and we're talking to them about gardening, the first thing we tell them is that this is not dirt. Dirt is what your mom washes off your clothes. This is soil. And soil is a very complex material that supports a huge number of organisms that work together in conjunction with your plants to ensure that they can get the minerals and the water and the oxygen that they need to survive and be healthy. So it sounds like the role of soil is so very important that we're going to capitalize it and make it a capital S, okay? And we're not going to call it dirt. And soil, along with the sun and the warmth, are the lifeblood of your plants. So that means that the soil helps produce healthy roots for your plants, and those two, the soil and the roots, are the key factors to producing productive plants so that you do have a good harvest. So the soil needs to have adequate depth and texture to it. And Mike's going to take over now because he's the scientist in this whole process.
I am, okay? I think it's nice that you mentioned the roots. Sometimes people forget about the roots when they're talking about their plants. The plants without these good, healthy root structures are really not going to be very productive. So it's very, very important to create a good environment so that these roots can expand and grow outward and on their search for minerals and moisture and oxygen. So you want to create an atmosphere for your soil or an environment for your soil so that they can do that. And one of the most important things is making sure that there's adequate organic material in the soil. And when we're talking about, organic material, okay, we're talking about, decaying leaves, plant material from the previous year, maybe the roots of some old plants, maybe some grass clippings, maybe some straw, even some of the dead biological creatures like the worms and the beetles and the bugs. They all participate in that whole process of perpetuating that life cycle within the soil. Now, this organic material serves as a food source for all of that biological activity in the soil. Now, people seem to forget that there's a lot of creatures in the soil. Okay, when you're talking about worms and beetles and bugs and ants and all kinds of different insects, and you're talking about bacteria and viruses and fungus in particular, which is so very, very important to, that soil and how it brings about the release of minerals from the organic material to make it available to the plants. So some of these creatures, like the beetles and the worms, okay, they have that first pass at the organic material. Okay, obviously a plant can't absorb a dead leaf. Okay, that has to be broken down by this whole mechanism of different the different creatures within the soil. Okay, they'll break it down into smaller particles, and then some of the other bugs and some of the ants, okay, break it down further, and then some of the bacteria make it down further. Then it's the fungus at the end that kind of really, breaks that material down, breaks that organic material down, and releases the minerals that are in that organic material so that the plants can absorb them. So it's that microscopic, creatures in the soil that are so very, very important for that mineral release, okay, to the plants. Now, those things all kind of work together like I indicated, But, the plants have a role in this whole process also. The plants, through the process of photosynthesis, excuse me, generate sugars. And that's, because that's what they have available to them. They have carbon dioxide and water, and sunshine, and they can produce sugars. And guess what they do? They actually share some of these sugars, with those creatures within the soil. They'll send some of those sugars back down through the vascular system of the plant, down into the root structure, and they'll release it, to, the bacteria, and the funguses within the soil. Kind of a nice thank you on the part of the plants for that. So they're all kind of working together to create an environment, that is going to help, produce a nice, healthy plant above ground. So the other thing about this organic material, it helps kind of keep that soil nice and light and friable, because you don't want hard packed soil. You got to have it so that the roots can, which are really small and tender and not very strong and sturdy, they need to reach out. They need to expand. I don't want the roots of my plants staying in one little component of that soil. I want them to reach out as far as they can, because that's where they're going to, find more nutrients and find more water, and find more oxygen. So it's very important that you keep that soil as, light and friable as you can. And that's why we use raised beds a lot, because we don't walk on them. We allow that soil to stay, so that it's not compacted. So that mechanical activity, of the creatures, of the worms and the beetles and the bugs, is also so very, very important, because it creates nice passages for air and oxygen and water, to creep down into the soil also, which is so very important. So, Mother Nature is really kind of fascinating when it comes to this garden soil and how things work together underneath the ground to support that plant up above. So that's why we're kind of emphasizing that you really take care of the soil, and you start by making sure that there's adequate organic material in the soil. So, Ellen, it looks like we've used up our time for today, and I think we stressed the importance of this enough. So let's move on to the next topic on the next session, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.